Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, Smirking Gun Reviews. This is Rob. I am definitely late on this by almost a week, but I'm finally here with my comic book reviews for the week of May 6th. So let's just jump right into it since anything. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to review here is Astonishing XMen number 12. The glare there, sorry about that. This is the final issue of A Man Called X run, which has been my favorite X book since I've started recollecting comics. Everything that's been coming to a head here with the Shadow King and this man who calls himself X, who is basically a reborn, kind of younger version of Charles Xavier who can walk. In this storyline, we had the return of Proteus. We've also, this group of X-Men put together is very much kind of like a very 90s nostalgic group. You've got, like Gambit and Rogue and Bishop and Old Man Logan and Arcane, like Mystique and Bishop. It's all really cool. And in this, it basically is revealing like the final battle between Shadow King and the X-Men. Again, they're starting a new series of this new story, starting I believe in August, with a new team, different team put together. I don't know how good that's going to be, but hopefully it's just as good as this. I really recommend this for X-Men lovers. Let's go to next issue is Captain America 703. This is the standard version. And this is the connecting variant that you can get. This is continuing the story of Roger's family and in the future, where the Red Skull has basically Steve is dead, but Red Skull, man. He's still alive and kicking because of the Cosmic Cube. This appears to be like the end. It looks like they're doing that reboot thing with Captain America #1. This this story that they're doing is kind of wrapping up this current run of Captain America, which has been pretty good. Like I keep saying, I'm not a big fan of the artwork, but the story alone is really good. And it's interesting where they're going with this future storyline. Without a Steve Rogers, and this guy trying to basically, stop the Red Skull without any, kind of superpowers. It's interesting how this will end. I'm very curious where Captain America is going to go next. But this is a pretty darn good book. If you like Captain America, I think this will be a nice fitting end to this run of the book. So next we have Dazzler. This is a one-shot. I wasn't even sure that I had pre-ordered this when it was going to become available. This basically just sets up Dazzler's return to the universe kind of proper. She's going to be one of the characters in the next Astonishing X-Men run, along with Havoc and I think Colossus, and there's a few other characters, but this is really just a introduction to the character. It's but if you were curious about what has been going on with Dazzler, I do like Alison Blair as a character, but this book is just kind of a refresher course in Alison Blair. So if you like her, you might like this book. It's like I said, it's just a one shot, so it doesn't really mean much. I don't think in 20 years this is going to be worth that much, but who knows what do I know. Next book is, so we were talking about reboots and everything. We have Deadpool #1, the new run of Deadpool. Now, it says #1, but we've got the legacy number here, so it's like 301. So if they ever decide, they'll just go back to the original numbers. And this is good. This is a good book. There's a ton of variants you can get. I myself am trying to get my hands on a Rob Liefeld cover. But as far as like the whole thing where he erased his memory and he's getting like a fresh start as sort of, Look, if you like Deadpool, you're gonna like this book. I'm not quite sure how I feel about like the whole memory wipe thing and how kind of that just feels like a cheat, um, and kind of like doesn't make what happened in the previous last few years kind of matter. I hope that's not the case. I hope this maybe they'll have some sort of course correction. But the one thing in this is that this is kind of like, even though it's a good issue, it doesn't really, it plays it really safe, and there's nothing really too monumental. Like the people he fights in this basically is this biker gang, and there seems to be a common theme with the no stakes biker type of gang, like no name enemy types in these reboots. I'll get to that later. Why I feel like this is a running theme. But this is a good book. It's just a different bunch of creative team, and whether or not it gets better or worse, we'll see. But again, this is pretty good. I'm still kind of raw over the whole like rewinding his wiping his mind. Okay, so now another number one, another reboot. This is the new run of Doctor Strange. Now, I'm not a big fan of this cover. I got into it with the people at the comic shop. I just feel like it's a really bland one. But basically, the story, though, is really good. And the art in the book is really good. It's basically telling how Steven's lost his connection to magic and how he ends up going to space to find places that do have magic that he can connect to. And I guess along the way he's going to find out that he's the sorcerer supreme of the galaxy or something like that. But it is a really interesting take since the last run. This is a good way to start. So I was really worried about what the next run of Doctor Strange was going to be like, but it is pretty good, even though I hate this cover. So that's moving on. Okay, so we now have the Hunt for Wolverine, Weapon Lost, Issue 2. Now, as I've said about in my other reviews for the Hunt for Wolverine series, Weapon Lost is in the top 2 of the 4 that it comes out. I really like the detective story angle. I really like Daredevil, Misty Knight, and this guy, now I can't remember his name. He's an Inhuman. And then they have Cypher, the mutant who can decipher all the languages, helping them try to track down Wolverine. This issue is kind of that, like, them following leads, trying to find out what happened. And there's a pretty good angle going on in this up to the end where you really want to know what's going on. The character development continues. This continues to be a good detective story. Whether or not in the end any of these Hunt for Wolverine books will be very, will stand up to future scrutiny, like, you know what I mean? Like, will they really have meant anything? I don't know. But as far as just a little story about this group trying to find Logan, again, this is a really, really pretty interesting book. All right, so now another number one. Here we are, another reboot, sort of. We are at Immortal Hulk, number 1. Okay, so this is a different Hulk. Basically, Banner, is around in the daytime, and he can be killed, but he will be reborn as the Hulk. And I don't know how the rules particularly work in this world. Is the Hulk always going to come out at night? Does he only come out if Banner's dead? Will he come out if he's angry? I'm not quite sure where they're going with this. It's really too early to tell. It is pretty good, but again, like I was talking about with that Deadpool number 1, it's a pretty safe book. They're not really giving you much as far as like a big number 1 something holy shit happening. Because he, in the end, he's fighting like some bikers again, like these no-name white trash biker villain types. And even though there's some really interesting stuff going on here, it is kind of, I don't know, it just plays it really safe. And again, like for another, this has like the legacy numbers as well. So does Doctor Strange and others. So if they ever decide to, go back to changing it from the Immortal Hulk to the Incredible Hulk, which I imagine they will eventually do somewhere down the line, I am really interested. This is a good story, but I'm a little on the fence about how I feel the direction that they're going to take with this. But that being said, I do recommend picking it up if you like the Hulk, especially if you like the Hulk. This is a good book. All right, now we have Infinity Countdown, number 4. Love this cover, even though this really has got nothing to do with the book, except the two characters on the cover are in the story. It's a great cover. Rocket in front of the Lifebringer, I think is what he's called now. Galactus has changed his ways and saves things. And in this story, it's kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, because their book has basically been on hold or canceled, or well, I doubt it's been canceled, but it feels like it's been on hold, so they can just focus on the Guardians as a major part of Infinity Countdown. And in this, we just see the continuing story of what's the struggle for the power, the Infinity Stones. And also in this, we've got Silver Surfer, Adam Warlock versus like Ultron. And how Silver Surfer is trying to convince Galactus that he has to destroy this planet that Ultron has, because he's firing off all these crazy missiles that are going to destroy all sorts of shit. And it's kind of tragic, because it's one of these necessary things where Galactus has like reborn him, like he's changed himself to where he saves things. But he has to make a choice on whether or not he would have to go back to the way he was. It has a nice little twist ending. But this book is really good. I'm interested in where they're headed with it. Like I said, some of these Infinity Countdown books have been hit and miss for me. Well, no, I think they're all alright except for Darkhawk. So that's about it. Again, if you are into the Infinity stories, this is a good continuation. There's a lot of cool Guardian stuff. And Ant-Man, they kind of allude to the fact that Ant-Man might be dead, but because of what he did in the last issue. If you haven't seen that, that's an amazing issue. But I don't know if he's dead or not. I don't think he is. But we'll see. Okay, so now we are at Weapon X, number 19, Join Sickle. This is a great book. I've said it before. I keep saying it. Some people don't like this book, but I really love it. And this, again, is Sabretooth in charge. And, how he's trying to help Omega Red actually become kind of, sort of a hero. Like, trying to tell him that he doesn't have to be the slave that his masters have made him to be. And it's a really, really interesting take on Sabretooth. Really interesting original way to look at Omega Red. He never really gets that much of an arc. But they're really working on giving him a story. We also have some stuff with Old Man Logan here that kind of seems like maybe he's not too long for this world, which would be a very interesting thing considering all the stuff that's going on with the hunt for Wolverine. But I don't want to give too much away about this. But again, Sabretooth's turn in this, and Omega Red as a character is getting a lot more interesting. I can't wait to see. I think the next issue is the conclusion of this story, so I'd really like to see where they leave off with Omega Red. Could Omega Red actually somehow become sort of a heroic character? Like, I don't know. I'm really curious. So anyway, I can't recommend that enough again. So XMen Gold is our next number 29, Till Death Do Us Part. This is the penultimate issue of this storyline, where the next issue we'll get to the wedding. A lot of cool stuff happens in this. I don't hardly want to say anything about this, because it's just one of those holy crap, how the hell are they getting out of this situation kind of issues. You love reading these kind of books, because it feels like the next book is going to be like more of the sappy wedding stuff, but this one has like a ton of crap happening, and you think people are going to die left and right, and it's got some twists and turns that just to keep the stories in the future going. But I don't really want to say too much about this, but if you like the X-Men and you like Kitty Pryde and Colossus and everybody involved in this book, you will not be disappointed. This is a really cool story. Alright, so now we have X-Men Red with Namor on the cover. We get the continuing story of what happened. Gambit's actually in this one, finally. like for a major part of it, where the guy is in the hospital because he killed, some people. Gambit's in there trying to get information. Jean shows up, and basically when you find out that this guy's got like sentinel nanites in his body, controlling him, making him kind of a sleeper agent for Cassandra Nova. Again, a pretty decent villain. We get some more with Namor. We get some stuff that starts the extermination or countdown to extermination story near the end. But this is a pretty good book as well. I don't want to say too much. Like my reviews for movies and books, movies and like TV shows are way more in depth. But I don't like giving away much about these books. Just to say that it's darn good. Honey Badger again has some great lines in here, especially with her interaction with Gambit. And it is finally, we're at issue 5, and we're really starting to see the team come together, and the possibilities of where this book can go is going to be pretty good, pretty good. So anyway, we are now at not Marvel. We have Justice League #1. So Scott Snyder, one of the best writers in comics, is in this, right, drawing this, and not drawing this, writing this. This is the return of like old classic Justice League. They're finally back. We've got John, the Martian Manhunter, back. We've got John Stewart's back in this, and we have like the Legion of Doom. We have Vandal Savage, with a part that you think is going to be one way, and then it turns out to be another. And this is a book I'm probably going to start just getting the regular issues of this, just because this is like classic Justice League. It reminds me of the cartoon. You've got all these other characters in here, and kind of in the background, like we've got Green Arrow and Plastic Man, but we have kind of the group from like the cartoon all together. And I don't know if that was on purpose or not. Maybe they were just trying to get back to kind of the classic roots, but there's a pretty big story happening here, plus the reintroduction, like I said, of the Legion of Doom. The writing in here is fantastic, and it does make me want to just keep reading this and not worry about picking up the trade. So I don't want to give too much away about this as well, but no, this is pretty kick-ass. I've been reading Justice League trades for the past year or so, but this is different. And it probably has to do a lot with the writing and the direction that they're taking. So now we have Man of Steel #2 of 6, more Bendis. This cover, again, has nothing to do with what's going on inside this book. But again, the writing by Bendis is great. The direction they're taking it, it seems like it's a smaller story, but I think it's going to have big ramifications. I don't really want to say too much about this because it's only 6 issues. But it's giving you this new perspective. Brian Michael Bendis shows that he knows how to write Superman, and that's really about it. Because I'm already running at like 18 minutes, so I'm not trying to like diss DC by not giving them much talk time. But Man of Steel, like I said, it's a pretty good book. You should check it out. And then finally, we have The Walking Dead #180, Part 6 of 6 of the New World Order. This book, the issue before, when I said that a lot of people are going to remember that as being, to me, people were saying that wasn't that big a deal, but I think that in the end, there's a lot happening behind the scenes in that issue that I think will become a bigger deal. This, on the other hand, has just basically one thing going for it, and that's how's Rick going to take the Commonwealth people? And it kind of goes pretty much by the numbers. They do, the governor, there's like obvious governor jokes because she calls herself Governor Blank, and immediately Rick's like, governor? But he also tells her the story about the governor a little bit, and why he doesn't have a hand anymore, because this guy just was a lunatic. And basically, how, Rick kind of freaks out when he sees Michonne's sword is in Eugene's hands. And we got what you would expect if you've been reading The Walking Dead, and how Rick would handle finding out about what the Commonwealth is like. The way they do things, the way they handle their society, about kind of if you were rich in the real world, in the pre-zombie world. You get money now. You have a good job. If you're poor, you're poor. And in Rick's, world, everybody's equal. So you can kind of tell where I'm going with this. That's how this kind of ends, where Rick's not too interested in this new world order. So that's it. And it's a really good book, by the way. So I kind of actually said a lot more about that than I wanted to. But anyway, that's the comic issues for this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit like. If you want to subscribe and see more of my videos and everything else and me being silly and stupid, please subscribe. We are at 92 subscribers. We are 8 away from 100. 100's nothing, but for me, 100 is like a million. So it would really help me out if you like this to subscribe. Share it with your friends if you've got people that read comics and don't know what to buy, or if you have friends that don't know where to jump in. Hopefully I give you some good places to start reading. Anyway, go to a local comic shop. Don't read online if you can. Yeah, that's about it. This is Rob from my channel, Smirking Gun Reviews. This video has gone on for 21 minutes. Holy crap. Anyway, we'll see you on the next video. We got Legion finale coming up, Handmaid's Tale tomorrow, and then hopefully comics for May 13th, June 13th. I probably said May 6th at the beginning of this video. Anyway, coming up, hopefully by the end of the week. So we will see you then. Again, this is Rob, and have a great night.